Ladies and gentlemen, our program will now begin. Please welcome the CEO of the Churchill Club, Karen Tucker.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. I'm Karen Tucker, CEO of the Churchill Club, and we're so pleased to have this amazing group of people with us tonight to enjoy a conversation on stage with Magnus Carlsen and Peter Thiel. And gentlemen, we really appreciate you being with us as well. Thank you so much. Some thanks are also in order to the people and companies who made this possible. First and foremost, Silicon Valley Bank. Aaron Gershenberg and Chris Stedman came to us in fall of 2012, and they excitedly told us about the value that they saw in connecting Magnus and chess with more people here in Silicon Valley. And they invited us to meet Magnus and to contribute our own ideas. And during that meeting, we had what we thought was kind of an aha moment, the parallels between the world of chess and the world of technology innovation. Maybe those of you who play chess would say it's more of a duh moment. But for example, to be successful in both cases, one's intellect, strategy, vision, perseverance, all of those qualities matter. And it suddenly seemed pretty obvious to us that chess also could potentially offer a way to get better at these things that could then potentially be applied in business and other areas of life. So SVB not only brought us this opportunity, but they also stepped forward as our lead sponsor, and we thank them for making it possible. Chris and Aaron, please stand up. Chris, over there. We also owe our thanks to Eric Anderson and Wendy Fisher of First Move. We applaud their important work to engage second and third graders in chess and for all the benefits that provides to young people as they get their start in life. And we also thank Innovation Norway and the Mendel Family Foundation for their generous support. If this is your first visit to Churchill Club, we are Silicon Valley's premier technology and business forum, 7,000 members strong, 29 years young, and we present up to 40 programs each year to encourage innovation, economic growth, and social good. Please do join us for other events in the year ahead. Before we introduce Peter, who will then introduce our guest of honor, we have a special announcement. Let me please ask Aaron Gershenberg to come to the stage.
Thank you so much. Hello. Thank you so much, Karen. And let's give Karen and her team a big warm appreciation for all they did to pull this together. So as Karen said, you guys stand over there. I'll stand on the left here. So as Karen said, we are just so fortunate to have Magnus here. And Magnus did what he said he would do, which was win the world championship. And now we're all here to celebrate that. And as part of that, we have a big announcement. And so these are the board members of First Move with Eric and Wendy. And we have a check to symbolize a $1 million Magnus Carlsen Critical Thinking Grant. And
wow.
So this is very exciting. So what this helps is there's a 250,000 student waiting list waiting for the curriculum. And these grants will help make sure that this curriculum that's been developed by Wendy and Eric, First Move, gets into those schools that really need it. And we hope that all of you in this room will help further expanding First Move here in the Bay Area, such a critical part of the future of the innovation economy. Thank you so much.
Very exciting. Few people have had the level of positive impact on the world as Peter Thiel, as a technology entrepreneur, investor, and mentor. Peter famously co-founded and led PayPal as their CEO, ultimately selling the company to eBay. He also co-founded Palantir Technologies, a company that Bloomberg called the War on Terror's secret weapon. He made the first outside investment in Facebook. He founded or co-founded Clarium Capital Management, Founders Fund, Mithril Capital Management. He established the Thiel Foundation to promote freedom. I'm scratching the surface here, but you can see that Peter has more vision, drive, energy, and ability to make things happen than most people we will ever know in our lifetimes. He also has a strong history and connection with the game of chess, and I'm hoping that he will tell us a little bit about that himself during his conversation with Magnus. Please give your warmest Churchill Club welcome to Peter Thiel.
Well, Karen, thank you very much for that introduction, and it is a tremendous privilege for me tonight to have a conversation with Magnus Carlsen. He's a chess prodigy, became world chess champion 2 months ago in November, beating the reigning champion Anand. I had the opportunity to meet with him a few years ago in Oslo for the first time. It struck me as a incredibly bright, talented person interested in many different things, although I think we're going to focus on chess tonight. There's sort of a whole set of milestones that one often sort of reaches as a young and aspiring chess player. Carlsen became a grandmaster at age 13 years and 148 days or something like that.
That's what people have been telling me.
With that, he was the second youngest grandmaster in the history of the world. Up to that time, I think one of the persons beaten that record since then. At the age of 19 in early 2010, he achieved an ELO chess rating of 2861, becoming the highest rated chess player. At the age of 19, he achieved a 2800 ELO rating, becoming the youngest person to be the highest rated player in history at 19. And at this point, he has an ELO rating of 2872, which makes him the highest rated chess player of all time. And so it's sort of and I think I personally was involved in scholastic chess in the U.S. Chess Federation. The U.S. has a chess rating scale that's somewhat inflated relative to ELO, and I was able to achieve a rating of about 1791 as a 12-year-old, and it ranked me 7th in the U.S. in the under 13 age category. But it was, it was sort of, grandmaster on a U.S. scale would be about 2,600. Every 100-point difference is a difference of about 2 to 1. It's sort of an exponential scale. And so, so even if you were ranked, 7th in the U.S. in your age group, you were like leagues and leagues away, and there was no contest with someone like Carlsen, who would be maybe 2 orders of magnitude stronger. Like you would sort of expect to beat me maybe 100 to 1 or something like that at age 12, and has gotten relatively stronger in the years since then. But let's. I want to really just focus on chess tonight. And when did you start playing chess? What year did you sort of really improve your chess?
I'm not sure exactly when. My father taught me the rules, but I'm not sure exactly when. I clearly don't remember that as a momentous occasion. But for the first couple of years, I didn't really play much chess. We played sometimes if the weather was really bad and we were really bored. But otherwise...
Which happens occasionally in Norway.
Yeah. But I was also living a bit abroad then, and then it happened more rarely. So I gained an interest in chess when I just turned 8, when my father started to teach my older sister, who's 1.5 years older than me. Somehow this time I was a little bit more mature, and I gained an interest in chess. And one of my main interests at that time was to beat my sister at everything she did. And so I started training a lot in order to beat her. And of course, gradually I realized that chess was a very interesting game in itself.
At what point did you decide to become a professional chess player and to really focus on playing chess for a living?
I really only decided that towards the end of high school. Before that, my parents had brainwashed me into thinking that I should pursue a higher education, and I thought that was reasonable.
Generally reasonable, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But at that point, I was not so interested in school, and I was doing very well at chess, and I was already making some money, and then it made perfect sense for me to be a professional and see how far I could reach.
Is there something you can tell us about sort of the process of how one becomes a great chess player? Is it like a lot of study? Is there some magic formula to how one goes about learning and improving? Are there some people who mentored you that really helped? Or?
I think for me the most important thing was the passion, to learn, to have fun, obviously to win, but most of all to learn. Growing up, I still am, but I was pretty used to doing basically the things I wanted to do. Most of the time that was chess. And so I would constantly be sitting at my board, reading some chess books, playing online, playing tournaments whenever I could. And I think to become really good at chess, you really need that. To become one of the best, it's not enough to go to the chess club a few times a week, play a tournament now and then, as you would in other sports. You shouldn't just go to practice. You should also you should be, in a sense, living chess. Yes. all the time.
Yes. Were there any as you were becoming a grandmaster and then later as a teenager, were there any particular chess players you really looked up to? Are there any former world champions that you feel you've learned the most from, or?
I really liked the games of Kramnik when I was young. I got a book of his games when I was about 11, and I really learned a lot from those games. I learned from many others as well, but it was really not in my. It's never really been in my style, according to my philosophy, to idolize players, to try to copy them. I just tried to learn and get the best from the great masters, contemporary, and from the past. It's like that for me in everything. I don't really idolize people too much, but I try to learn from what they do.
Are there? How does one go about improving even more when you're at the level you're at today?
I really don't know.
You're still trying to improve,
But I still feel that I'm improving. I still feel that I'm picking up little things all the time. I'm learning how to evaluate positions. I evaluate positions differently from what I used to, different material imbalances, different dynamic imbalances, and so on. And it really, for me, it really comes with the experience of playing, of training. I don't know, I never really know exactly what's going to come of it, but something good usually happens.
Do you think that one has to learn chess as a kid, or is it something you can learn anytime? And is it like a language where there's a certain age that you have to learn it, or is it something that you can learn any time in your life?
I think it depends on what your goals are. I think chess will help you at any age, but I think it's more helpful if you learn it as a kid. And if you want to be a really strong player, then you definitely need to learn it as a kid.
It's like any sport where you have to. Do you think it's fair to? Is chess a sport? Is it an art? Is it a science?
For me, it's most of all a sport. There are definitely components of art and science to it, but most of all, it's a sport. It's about. I mean, when I'm at the table, you're trying to win. Like in a sport, I prepare like it's a sport. But it's sometimes when you create some beautiful combinations, it feels like art. When you're searching for opening ideas, you're trying to compose something. It's a science. But most of all, for me, it's a sport.
Is there a psychological component to it where are there ways to psych out opponents or not to be psyched out by opponents? Or it's because I think people always have this impression that it's purely rational, although there's a certain element that's not entirely.
Yeah. Well, Bobby Fischer said that I don't believe in psychology. I believe in good moves. I think
it's a great psychological thing to say.
Yeah. I think there is definitely something to that. For me, it's more about psychology in preparation, trying to choose the opening variations that could be unpleasant to that particular opponent. During the game, it's a little bit difficult because sometimes you can feel something in your opponent. For instance, during the World Championship, I could sometimes see my opponent Anand shaking. But at some point, I realized that I couldn't really tell whether he was trembling with excitement or he was just nervous. So
You don't want to push the poker analogy too far here.
So I didn't really. So I decided just I better focus
just
on.
Stay focused on the 64 squares.
Yes.
Is there a physical fitness component to it? Do you find that you play better if you're feeling healthy, or?
Yeah. Definitely. Earlier today, I had a burger, and it made me feel awful. So, if I were to play a serious game of chess now, I would probably play horribly. So no, but it just goes. I think when you feel well, when you feel fit, your mind works better. You can last. The long games better. You can last long tournaments better, where you have to play many long games in a row. It just makes it so much easier.
This being Silicon Valley, one of the questions one has to always ask is how computers have changed chess and how that has played out over time. And in some ways, I saw the whole thing coming. I remember I was at a chess tournament in 1979 in Saratoga, and Max Euwe, who had been the number 2, number 3 world player in the 1940s, gave a simul, and he answered some questions, and one of the people in the audience asked, would a computer ever play at the level of a grandmaster? And he said, absolutely no way. And at the time, the top computers had a rating of maybe 1,200, 1,200, 1,300. They got better at the rate of about 100 points a year. And then, first beat Kasparov, the world champion, in 1997. Maybe he didn't play that well that time around, but they have gotten better than humans at this point. How has, in your mind, how has the evolution of computer chess changed chess in the last 30 years?
Well, first of all, I'm a little bit surprised that you tell me that, because Dr. Ove, well, he was world champion for a couple of years, and he was also a brilliant mathematician. So if he was wrong about computers, then anyone could have been. But really, now the computers are definitely better than the best humans. I think at the time when Kasparov lost to Deep Blue, he was probably still the best player, and I think the reason he lost largely had to do with his own demons. Mm-hmm. But now I don't really see the computer as an opponent. It's more of an aid. It's an analysis tool. It's an amazing analysis tool because it's so powerful and increasingly smart as well. And it's sort of been leveling the playing field in the sense that you can amass knowledge so much quicker.
These chess databases of all the openings, and all the games.
Yeah, databases. You can get knowledge that way. You can analyze openings with the computer, which can give you, which again can level the playing field when you're playing better, more knowledgeable
Has it
players.
made chess more tactical because the computers have shown that there are far more combinations than people suspected existed back in the 80s?
Probably, but it's definitely, most of all, it's made it less dogmatic, so that the computers are challenging more and more of the old conceptions of what you should do and what you shouldn't do. And I think the main rule now about positional play, openings, and so on is that there are no rules. Anything goes, and you have to treat each situation concretely in order to be able to make a good decision.
So people used to have these shorthands where they'd say doubled pawns, doubled isolated pawns are always bad, and they're probably still mostly bad, but sometimes.
Yeah, but just any situation might be different, and analyzing with computer helps sometimes because you might see a position and you think it's better for white, while the computer evaluates it as a little bit better for black. And if you go deeper, you can see that there are some dynamic factors which actually supports the computer's view instead of your own. Another time it might be the other way around, but it helps to broaden our understanding of chess if you know how to use it, and if you trust it blindly, that's not a good idea. But if you can think for yourself and you can decide when it's right, when it's wrong, then it's very, very useful.
But you generally don't play against computer. You just use it as a tool.
Yeah, I find playing against computers depressing.
You don't like losing.
No, I don't like losing, and I also think it's not so useful practice to play humans, because computers, even though computers have become more human in their style, the best computers play an amazing, dynamic, and positional game. Still, it doesn't help you too much in preparation for playing humans, which are still my main opponents.
Do you think that is there something? Do you learn the most from games you lose or games you win, or is there anything you can generalize about that?
I think over time, I probably learn more from games I lose. I'm usually in...
Because that pushes you to really think about why you lost and what you should have done differently.
Yeah, but usually whenever I lose, at least before, I thought I had a pretty good idea what I'd done wrong. And I usually thought it was a concrete mistake that was my undoing. But over time, I think I realized that probably there was something more profound there, that I actually made more mistakes than I thought I had, and I evaluated some position mistakenly, and so on. So I think over time you definitely learn more from your losses, even if you're someone like me who doesn't like to go the old Soviet style of painstakingly analyzing your losses. But I think over time you learn from them anyway.
Are there any lessons from the Soviet chess school that you've taken to heart, or the things that they did right, things they did wrong? And because the Soviet Union has this phenomenal history of producing grandmasters.
I definitely learned a lot from the Soviet schools. In the books I read about it. Dvoretsky's books, for instance, on different themes: positional play, endgame play, tactical play, and so on. But mostly I've tried to incorporate something from the Soviet chess school, something from, well, not the Norwegian chess school, but what my coaches in Norway have taught me, other people have written or taught me, and just trying to put them all together in what will one day become the Carlsen School of Chess.
Yes, very good. Let's talk a little bit about your recent World Championship tournament with Anand. Was it easier, harder, roughly as expected? How would you won quite decisively, 6.5 to 3.5. Was the best out of 12.
Well, first of all, I had a long time to prepare. I prepared a lot, but I think it probably scared me a little bit to go through all of Anand's games from the past, because I realized how extremely strong, how diverse his strengths are, and that made me a little bit scared. When I got to the first game, I was a little bit nervous. I played a little bit of an offbeat line, but which I thought could still give me a slight advantage. Then I made a mistake, which it turned out, it was a normal theoretical move, which turned out to be a mistake. And he replied quite quickly. And I had to basically beg for a draw with white pretty early on, which was not a great result at all. And that made me even more nervous and scared, because I thought if he's that well prepared, even in some offbeat sideline, then what the hell am I supposed to do? Then in the second game, I made a fairly easy draw. In the third game with white, I messed up pretty badly after the opening, and I got a difficult position. And at some point, he really needed to play sharply in order to gain an advantage and to play for a win. He didn't do that. He simplified towards a draw instead, and I think that was a huge mistake. I think in such a match, you need to take every little chance that is presented to you.
Because once you're ahead, it starts to...
Yeah, because I don't think you can have... He really wanted complete comfort in the way that he wanted to wait for an even better chance. But that was the problem. He wasn't getting a better chance the whole match. And then I realized that he was not in the mindset to pounce yet. And at that point, I felt pretty confident that I would eventually grind him down. Game 4 was I think, a wonderful game. I was black. I gained the advantage. He defended very resourcefully. I made some inaccuracies, but overall I thought it was a very good game. It was a draw, but nevertheless it left me with a great feeling. And I carried that over to the 5th and 6th games. And from then on, it was just a dream scenario.
You won the 5th game.
I won the 5th game, I won the 6th game. And that was really, of course, a dream scenario. From then on, I was not nervous before any of the games. I was just feeling like my preparation is working well with black. He can't beat me, basically. So then I just had supreme confidence in that I was going to have a successful result.
Are there players that you found you've played over time that have been tougher than Anand, or are there certain types of players that you find unusually hard?
Well, when I started out playing the top-level tournaments, Anand was really the only player who consistently beat me up.
He had a winning record against you before the World Championship match.
Yeah, he won like 5 games in a couple of years with a few draws, which is quite a lot. And he also, at that time, dominated me in rapid, blindfold, and blitz chess. But eventually, as I got better, I started winning a couple of games against him. And with my 3 wins in the World Championship, I finally equalized my lifetime score with him.
Congratulations. Well, we should. I want to make this as interactive as possible, so we should open up to some questions from the audience. And I think we have people with microphones, so yeah, people with microphones. So yes, we have a question right up here. All right. Well, why don't we start with that question and just...
And then I'll come over to you with the microphone.
Okay. I was impressed to hear that you're really good at the end game, and I wondered if you could maybe just give a few pointers about what makes you special. I've always loved the end game myself, and I guess then tie it into maybe larger aspects of life or business. But the end game seems to me to be part of that.
Fischer said something about Capablanca. He was considered a great master of the endgame. Fischer thought that was a misconception, that Capablanca played so forcefully, so accurately in the middle game, that he gained some advantages going into the end game that almost only he could appreciate. So that in reality he had amassed those advantages in the middle game, and he would only convert them in the end game. Probably some of the same can be said for me, because I think that sometimes when people say that I win endgames that are equal, I actually feel myself that I have a slight advantage, although the computer might not necessarily agree, that I've established in the middle game. And I also think it comes down to fighting spirit. I never stop looking for resources, be creative to, even in simple positions, there are always going to be some little tactical tricks, and if you always look for them, it's surprising how often something works out. And I think as long as I'm making good moves. I'm not taking any risks, at least the way I feel. I think I should play for a win as long as I can. And I think that's one of the things that distinguishes me from many others.
How many of your wins do you think get won in the middle game versus the end game?
I think most of them are decided in the middle game. I don't have any exact numbers there. I don't win a lot of games in the opening, as most people don't. But yeah, of course, a lot of my wins are purely end game wins. It's just continuing to fight again. Constantly looking for resources, and my impression has been, as a professional chess player for a few years now, that even the best players in the world, put under consistent pressure, they crack.
And when you're at a chessboard and you have you always have to figure out how to allocate the 2 hours time you have for 40 moves or whatever. Are there certain positions when how do you know what positions you should spend a lot of time on and which positions not to?
I'm probably not too good at spending my time economically at the board, since usually when I think for a long time, it's when I've screwed up, to be honest. It's when it's a difficult situation and I cannot find a decent move. Obviously, sometimes there are long variations you just need to calculate for a very long time. But usually, I try to make obvious moves quickly. If I feel that there's only one reasonable move, or I have to recapture a piece, I mean, you should do that more or less immediately to save time. But it's working out pretty well, I feel. In the sense that I rarely...
It's not something you worry about that much.
No, I rarely get in time trouble. I probably don't handle time trouble as well as I used to, because I'm really not used to it now. So when I get a little time, I get a little bit nervous, a little bit tentative. But fortunately, it doesn't happen very often. My impression is that in general, the best players put pressure on their opponents, not only on the board, but on the clock as well. Anand certainly does that. Kramnik does that. Aronian does that. Gary used to do that, and so on.
Cool. Next question.
Hello, my name is Olga. So I have two questions. One, what's helped you to stay focused? And second question, do you think cold weather in Russia and in Norway is major contributing factor to grow chess masters?
Sorry, what was the first question?
Focus.
It's really just about learning. I feel that I'm still developing as a chess player. I want to learn more. I want to win more. And to keep my motivation, to keep my focus, it's really not been an issue for me, really ever. No, for me that's really to a large degree a non-issue. As for the cold weather, we really don't have a great tradition for producing chess masters in Norway. So I think the fact that I come from Norway is largely a coincidence. As for the Russians, I don't know. Russia and former Soviet Union have had great chess traditions for for many, many years, starting with Chigorin in the late 1800s and early 1900s, and especially since the Second World War, and they have had the best coaches, the best tournaments, and so on. I think now the recruiting in Russia is not so great. I think we're going to see in 15, 20 years that that India, especially, and also China, are going to be probably the greatest chess countries in the world.
Next question.
I've got the mic here, so.
All right. Go ahead.
You've really revolutionized chess, both the way that outsiders see chess and the way that chess players prepare, for instance. But a lot of revolutionaries go on to become dictators. So in the next cycle, have you considered giving up your champion's privilege and entering the candidates tournament, maybe opening up your space for Nakamura as well, making it a tournament of 10?
I wouldn't necessarily compare a reigning world champion to a dictator, but I get. But I get your point. For now, what I feel is that the World Championship match was a great experience. I thought I qualified for it in a fair manner, and I'm really looking forward to the next match already, and we'll see what's going to happen in the future.
How much of an intersection do you think there is between chess and life? Does it teach people things for life, or is it sort of just a dangerous hobby that distracts people from living their lives? Or is it a good metaphor for life? People always try to compare things to chess in one way or another, and sometimes I think it's very good, and sometimes maybe not perfect. But
I don't know, but I think that you can definitely learn a lot from chess. Starting out, you learn critical thinking, analytical thinking, and so on. I think if you do like me and only more or less only played chess, I think that is probably not going to teach you a lot about life, and it probably is not going to help you that much in other fields, but I guess not everyone can be chess amateurs. Some have to be champions as well. But no, but really, I think that a lot of the skills that you learn in chess can be used in other fields, as long as you spend some time on them as well, not just on chess.
cool. Let's next question. Yes.
Hi, my name is Max. Do you ever get nervous before a tournament?
I do get nervous sometimes, especially if I feel that I'm not so well prepared, like not being. It's sort of the same feeling like not being prepared for a meeting or for an exam. But otherwise, during games, I don't really get that nervous because I don't know. I have great confidence in what I do, basically. So I feel that I know most of the time what I'm doing, and thus I don't get too nervous. And often when I do get nervous, I try to put on a brave face and not to show it so much.
So you're not going to tell us here. Next question. Go ahead.
Hi, Magnus. First question, easy one, is do you think the World Championship should go back to the classical 24 games? And second is, you said that playing the computers depresses you. Is it because that they're very, very hard to beat? Or is it that, so that, you know, there's just a lot of draws? Or is it that they're very good that they win?
I think, in a way, both would be pretty depressing. I think that the format we have for the World Championship right now, it's not perfect, but it's pretty good. I think that 24 games for the World Championship is probably a bit long, because it's hard to keep people's attention for that long, really, for anything. Probably the players will get more tired, and the quality will drop, which I think is not a good thing. 12 games to me is fine. 14 games or 16 games would also suit me well, and probably I would like 14 games even better, because you have a couple of more games to come back from a loss. You have a little bit more time to probe your opponents, and it's also still pretty much standard tournament length, which I think the World Championship should be.
Anything on, do you want to add anything on the computer chess question?
No, I mean, the main thing is that I just don't think it's very useful for me, and I like, in general, in my chess training, I do the things that I enjoy. I don't particularly enjoy playing computers, so I don't do that.
Good. Next question.
So I have a 12-year-old son at home. He seems to have some natural talent. He beats the rest of us in the family. But he hasn't really fully explored chess, I don't think. I'm curious if you have a particularly good website or book or comic book that I might recommend or bring home for him to play around with.
I think my main recommendation is, if he's really interested in chess, any book, any website, any club is good. Just anything that allows him to spend time on something that he finds interesting, and that will definitely help him learn a lot.
Did you find that you improve more by studying other games than by playing, or is it some combination of both?
I think it's a combination of both, but I definitely learned, I really have learned a lot from just playing and reading books and so on. And often, one of my main trainings in my earlier years, probably especially between the ages of 11 and 13, was that a few players would get together, some grandmasters, international masters, and me, just usually 2 to 4 people, and we would analyze a game. It could be my game, it could be one of the others' games, but really it was not an analysis of the game as much of an analysis of chess, because at some point we would get lost in a certain position from the game, and we would just sit there for hours and moving the pieces around, thinking. And it was just so helpful in improving mine and the other guys' understanding of chess, because we were constantly thinking, trying out new ideas. And it really was chess training without thinking of it as chess training. We were just having fun analyzing.
Where do you think the game of chess is going to go in 10, 20 years? Is it ever going to be fully solved? Will all games end in draws? Or any thoughts on how the game evolves in the decades ahead?
There's been talk of draw death in chess for at least 80 years. And as far as I know, it's pretty far off still. The draw rate in major tournaments has actually been going down of late, partially because draw offers have been banned in most tournaments, and even in those tournaments where it's not banned, like in the World Chess Championship, I simply didn't offer or accept draw offers except in positions where there's absolutely nothing left. I think that definitely contributes. And chess, I think, will never be fully solved. We have a so-called table basis of up to 6 pieces, meaning that all chess positions with up to 6 pieces have actually been solved by the computer, but I don't think table bases with 7 pieces will happen in our lifetime. And to get to 32 pieces, which is the number of pieces on a chessboard, it's probably never going to happen. But I think at some point, probably we'll have to start playing more rapid and also Fischer random chess, where the starting position is only determined right before the game, so you cannot really prepare for the games with computers. I think at some point they will be more popular, but for now I think that classical chess is in excellent shape.
Next question.
Thank you. I think I can speak for everybody in the room when I say we all would probably like to thank your father personally for introducing you to the game of chess. You've brought us all so much. My question is, if your father had not introduced you to the game of chess, do you think you would have found chess on your own? And if not, how do you see your life unfolding? Or where do you think you might have gone?
I think there are just so many coincidences in life. For instance, my family, we lived in Belgium from when I was 6 till I was 7. We planned to stay there for 2 more years. I think if we had stayed there for a couple of more years, I wouldn't have gotten into chess. I wouldn't have had the nice chess environment I had close to my home in Norway. So I probably never would have been a chess player. I don't know what I would have done if I hadn't been a chess player. Hopefully something useful. My parents and others have always told me that I could be anything I want to, and I guess I sort of believe them and still do. So I think I would have done something useful, something intellectual then as well. But what exactly is hard to say, because I took the path of chess at such an early age. Really, I've only always had one major interest. Before chess, it was Legos. It was geography. It was math. And cars for some reason, and since then it's been chess. So who knows?
Next question. Yes.
Hi, Magnus. Great seeing you in person. I'm asking this for my 7-year-old who's too shy to ask. His question is, did you win when you played against Garry Kasparov when you were 13?
Did I win?
Did you win the game, or was it a draw?
Oh, no, I didn't win the game. I drew one of the 3 games that I played with him then. I had a winning position, actually, so I was not as thrilled with my results as many were on my behalf. But it was definitely a great experience, and I'm already appreciating it more than I did when I was 13 years old.
Next question.
Hi, my name is Nina, and did you do anything else besides doing chess?
Yes, I've done other things than chess. I went to school for many years. I used to go skiing a lot. I played soccer in a club. I played other sports. I even went ski jumping for a few years. So I've done a lot of other things. I still enjoy doing sports a lot, but still chess is my main occupation. There's no doubt about that.
Next question. Yes.
So someone told me that during the World Chess Championship that they wanted you to sign a book, which was the 1960 Tal vs. Botvinnik, and you refused to sign that book. Is there any truth to that, and would you sign that now?
A lot of chess players are superstitious, to some extent, including me. For those who don't know, Tal won the World Championship in 1960 when he was 23 years old. He lost the title the next year, never became world champion again, and that's why I didn't want to sign the book, because I didn't want to end up in the same way.
You hope that your reign will last for more than a year. Next question. Yes.
Tell us a bit what goes through your mind when you're playing Blitz. I'm especially interested because we do things fast in Silicon Valley, and there's probably a lot we can learn from how you analyze a board in 1/10 or 100th the time you usually have.
Really, Blitz chess is mainly about intuition, instincts. So when you play classical chess, at least for me, my intuition usually tells me something. It gives me an idea of what I want to play, and then I'll have plenty of time to verify that. and to calculate different variation to see if I'm right. In Blitz, you don't have that luxury, so you have to go with what your instinct, what your intuition tells you. So that's basically what's going on. There's not so much thinking. Of course, I'm still calculating some variations, but usually I do whatever comes to my mind first.
Is playing too much Blitz actually bad for becoming a better sort of 4-hour game chess player, tournament chess player, or are there some pluses and minuses to Blitz?
I think you shouldn't play only Blitz, but playing some Blitz is definitely very useful, especially when you're developing as a young chess player. For me, it was very useful to develop my instincts, my tactical eye, and just playing training. It was great. So I recommend for anyone who wants to improve at chess to play a lot of Blitz. It's a lot of fun and it's useful chess training as well.
Great. Let's try to take 2 more questions.
So hi, yeah, my name is Pablo. I'm a terrible chess player, but I'm an avid Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy. And I don't know if you know Josh Waitzkin, who was the guy that made the movie Searching for Bobby Fischer about. He's now a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and that's been called like the chess for the body. And you talked a lot about the fighting spirit that it takes to be a good chess player. Have you ever thought about applying some of the things that you're obviously very good at to martial arts and other endeavors? And obviously you have a pretty gifted brain, and maybe there's some big problems to be solved, and what other things you can apply that fighting spirit and brain to?
I had an experiment with a personal trainer at some point where I was taught some basic moves of martial arts and self-defense and so on. It didn't really catch on for me, so I don't know. But I definitely think in chess you have to be merciless in order to be very successful. But I don't. That's probably not good parallel, because I think that was probably one of Waitzkin's problems, that he didn't have enough of a killer instinct to be a really great chess player. That was my impression anyway.
That's why he did 2 different things.
Maybe that's why he switched to something more peaceful.
Last question.
Hi.
Yes.
Rohit here. I'm the first guy who resigned this evening. There's been a study on chess champions, former and present, and there's a very striking similarity between them. A lot of them are geography buffs, and I believe that tag applies to you as well, correct?
I didn't really hear. Could you speak up a bit?
Yeah. Chess champions, past and present, there's been a similarity between them that was seen, and that a lot of them are geography buffs, and I believe that tag applies to you as well, correct?
Yeah, I think for me, I like all sorts of trivia, basically.
Okay, what's the capital of Myanmar?
It's Rangoon.
Very good. No more questions.
That's an easy one.
I gave you an easy one.
All right, with that, please remain seated for just a second.
Someone said they changed it?
I think they changed it back to Rangoon, though. So I think he's right.
I was lucky.
So on behalf of Churchill Club, our audience, our sponsors, our partners, thank you so much for this really interesting conversation.
Thank you.
It was really fun. Thanks a lot.
small gift. We have a small gift for you. It is the Churchill Club Speaker T-shirt. We hope you wear it with pride and fond memories of your time here tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, a video of this program will be available on our Churchill Club YouTube channel for your viewing, and please pass the word along. Thank you very much. You've been a great audience. Good night. Thank you. That was so awesome.